Yeah, definitely. So, what I find right now is most VR studies, a lot of them are pretty preliminary. And what I want to help psychiatrists and psychologists do is to bring virtual treatments more on the forefront. So, right now, typical treatments for depression or things like that are some sort of cognitive behavioral therapy mixed in with like an antidepressant. And what I believe, I mean, obviously, you read the full literature. There's different things with different genes where medication is pretty good for some people. Um, I believe a lot of the time the medication isn't that great long term. And I think what gets people more so out of depression is changing their behaviors and finding them more so meaningful life that actually, where you can rehack your biology and have it work for you. Have you feel rewarded to live in a better way. And what I want to do is, and that's kind of what cognitive behavioral therapy is about, really. It's kind of breaking down the structure of your mind and learning how to think in a way that's more conducive to living in a better way. And I think something like cognitive behavioral therapy, bringing that into a virtual setting where you get to practice those behaviors. So just very quickly, one of the things is like reappraisal, right? It's so someone who is super doubting themselves, saying like, "Oh, I'll never be able to do this. They have a lot of negative self-talk. Like, I hate myself. I'm not good enough to do this." And obviously, if that's your mindset, you're not even gonna try. You're not even gonna see, working hard to get something as a desirable thing to do in the first place. So what reappraisal is possibly viewing that future in a different way or viewing yourself in a different way. You're reappraising the situation. So something you can do in virtual reality is actually having them practice those sort of reappraisal techniques by giving them a different visual of the behavior that they're doing, or even having them practice that in a more engaging way. Or if they're a lot of the work now is done kind of with if people are dealing with certain trauma or things like that, kind of getting them exposed to those
Mhm.
certain cues that trigger them. But also, I think the most engaging thing would be teaching people those kind of skills to take care of themselves and teaching people in a virtual world guided by clinicians, teaching them those cognitive behavioral skills through a virtual setting where they actually get to physically practice them.
Mhm.
So when they're at home, like they can physically engage with the virtual world. You can set up worlds where they have to, kind of work to pursue a goal in a certain way. And if they're able to practice that behavior and it's really fun because it's in a, virtual reality is kind of interesting, right?
Mhm.
And you get to practice that over and over again. Then when you're out into the real world, your brain is like, okay, well, I've done this before, and then you can help yourself get out of depression in that way. That's kind of bridging the gap, I believe.
Makes sense.